Is now in effect. The new ban impacts people from all of these nations that you see on the screen. The president's also imposing partial restrictions on entry from these 7 other countries. The White House says it's targeting countries that lack proper vetting, don't share identity and threat information, or have high visa overstay rates. ABC's Matt Rivers has more from Mexico City. Hi, Matt. So what are some of the immediate impacts now that this ban's in effect?
Yeah, so the immediate impact, of course, is going to be that hundreds of thousands of people who would travel to the United States for a variety of reasons over the coming months and years, whether it be working, whether it be to visit family members, whether it be for tourism, all of those visa applications are now going to be denied. Obviously, we know that there's a ban on the entry of the individuals from those countries, but effectively what's happening here is that when these countries' individuals go to the United States Embassy or a consulate in these countries and apply for a visa application, most of them are going to have those visa applications summarily denied. That has a number of different impacts, kind of what I listed off the top there. Of course, there's the obvious impacts of people coming here to work, people coming here for tourism, but you also have to remember that from these list, 19 countries overall that's affected, you're talking about millions of people who are nationals or were nationals, maybe binational, have dual citizenship of both countries that are already in the United States. So let's say you're someone from Chad, for example, you're living in the United States, you're not going to be able to have family members come visit you. So there's the humanitarian side of this, there's the business side of this, but of course what the Trump administration is saying here is that these are countries with either a history of terrorism, whether they have histories of high rates of visa overstays. These are countries that were investigated by the State Department and found to be worthy of being included in this ban. Of course, there's going to be challenges in court, just like we saw during the first Trump administration.
Now, Haiti is one of the 12 countries impacted by this full travel ban. I know you've reported extensively from there on gang violence and dangerous conditions. So how could this ban impact the people there in Haiti?
I think it's in addition to all the obvious things that we've just laid out, I think what's important to take away from something like this is just the hit that this is going to bring to the symbolic nature of the United States. Now, you talk to people in Haiti. I've also done a lot of reporting from Myanmar, for example. A country like the United States, the ability to travel to that country to take advantage of the benefits that the United States provide people, I think it really does a lot to the United States image abroad as a place of safe haven, as a place of opportunity. That has certainly been the United States' historic image in many places around the world. And this is going to take a hit as a result of this ban. There's no question about that. People in Haiti, look to the United States as its big brother a lot of the time. Not a country that they always agree with, certainly, but a place certainly where most Haitians who want to flee that violence would choose to go to first. Hundreds of thousands of people from Haiti have already done that. And now it seems like that will no longer be available to them. So there's no question that there's a symbolic nature to all of this. And that's, I think, fair to say what the Trump administration is also aware of and what they want. They don't want the United States to be seen as the solver of the world's problems anymore. And so I think both sides, whether you fall on the right or the left politically, I think both sides are aware of the hit that the United States image abroad is going to take as a result of this ban and other immigration policies.
All right, Matt Rivers, thank you. And the travel ban could impact Afghans who worked for the U.S. during the war in Afghanistan. The Trump administration has carved out an exception for special immigrant visas for Afghans who are employed by or on behalf of the U.S. government. But a nonprofit that helps settle Afghans in the U.S. says tens of thousands of people with pending cases will be blocked from resettling in the U.S. President and board chairman of that nonprofit, #AfghanEvac, Sean Vandiver, is here with more. Sean, thanks so much for coming on. Now, you say these Afghan nationals believed that they would be able to live in the U.S. safely with their families after the Taliban took over. So what more can you tell us about them and what this travel ban means for them now?
Sure. So there's a few things. First, thank you so much, Diane, for having me on today. First, there is an exemption for SIVs, which is great, except the Trump administration has broken down and dismantled all of the infrastructure, the underlying infrastructure that helps them get here. It was called Enduring Welcome, and it represents the safest, most secure legal immigration pathway our country's ever seen. It was built by veterans, civil society, and the last administration. We forced them to the table. We got them to get this right, and it's the first time we've ever kept our promise to our wartime allies. Now, on the other hand, there's other populations of our wartime allies that fall into the refugee category. These are family of active duty United States military service members. They're lawyers and prosecutors who put the Taliban away. These are female tactical platoon commanders who are helping us get intelligence on the ground for 20 years, and now they're in danger. It's journalists. There are 12,000 family reunification cases, people who were separated. And there's a lot more info on our website at AfghanEvac.org, and I would encourage your viewers to check it out if they want to learn more deeply.
Can you just explain a little bit more? The Trump administration is making this exception for those special visas. So why are these cases being blocked?
Sure, because they know how popular this is. And when people say wartime allies, folks generally think about just the special immigrant visas, but that's only part of the story, right? The truth is that 90% of the American public believes that the entirety of our wartime allies, anybody who stood up for the idea of America, put their lives in danger, or put their lives on the line, and are now at risk due to their relationship with us, 90% of the American public believes that we should still help them get here. And because of the withdrawal, because of how both President Trump and President Biden botched our exit from Afghanistan, there's no consular services in Afghanistan, so people can't just go to the embassy and get what they need. So look, I think this executive order creates a false sense of reassurance because of that exemption, but because they're eliminating the people and the programs who make those exemptions functional, it is functionally useless.
So what happens for these people and your organization now that this ban's in effect?
They have to wait, and we are going to keep raising our voices. And if your viewers want to help support us, AfghanEvac.org/donate. We need to keep bringing this fight to the administration. We need to be contacting our local, state, and federal elected officials. We need to be sharing the stories. But here's the thing. It's not safe for people in Afghanistan to tell their stories because the Taliban is coming after them, despite what the Secretary of Homeland Security says. It's not safe for folks here to be telling their stories publicly because ICE will come and get them. We saw a case in Houston over the weekend that was published over the weekend. We've seen negative impacts of folks raising their voices. So it's on Americans, veterans, frontline civilians, everyday Americans to stand up, make their voices heard, and ensure that this administration knows how much we care about this population.
And Sean, what have you heard from the administration on this?
We're only getting back channel information. For whatever reason, they don't want to talk to us. The last administration engaged us a lot, and they're engaging certain veterans who are carrying the flag for them, saying that everything they're doing is great, despite cutting jobs at the VA, despite dismantling the infrastructure that supports our wartime allies and throwing our wartime allies under the bus. For some reason, they don't want to call us. But if you're watching, anybody in the administration, we're really easy to get a hold of. Contact at AfghanEvac.org. Hit us up. We would love to come in and chat with you. I'll be sending you a letter this week, raising up the voices of the more than 200 active duty service members who wish you would help them get their families here like you promised.
Our president and board chairman of #AfghanEvac, Sean Van Diver, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.